Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to cover the written form of the announcement of Siege of the Atlas as well as the Archnemesis League. Yesterday I uploaded the live reaction of this entire thing here, so this is basically the video, which was the video from yesterday, right? So today I want to go over the written form and just give you like my 2 cents about all these kind of changes and what awaits us in 3.17. And then I basically want to continue with this like daily uploaded video. So tomorrow I plan to cover the patch notes, and then we go from there and see what other things get revealed in the upcoming days, as well as like there's definitely going to be a video about the passive skill tree and stuff like that. One video would be probably the opportunities or the chances that we have with like these new jewels here. If you missed that, there is like 2 jewels that give you or can unlock you ascendancies of the same class that you play. That means if you play a raider or let's say a raider, yeah, you could unlock something like Tailwind from from the Deadeye, or like Master Surgeon from the Pathfinder and stuff like that. So there is going to be a shit ton of build opportunities this league. And if I think about quickly, like, yo, if I play like an Elementalist and get Profane Bloom from the Occultist, for example, right, some fancy Ignite builds, or like there is so many things that I could instantly think of that we could combine to make like insanely powerful characters. So that's gonna be quite interesting to just develop builds around that, and there is definitely gonna be some combinations that might be a little bit too strong in that case. But hey, anyways, we're gonna start with like reading through this entire thing, and I would say, yeah, Path of Exile, Siege of the Atlas. In Path of Exile, Siege of the Atlas, 2 new Eldritch horrors threaten to consume the Atlas of Worlds. Join Commander Kirak's militia and defend the Atlas of Rayclass itself against these celestial foes. So yeah, like every other expansion, there is new bosses, which is cool. The older ones are just going to get not that good anymore. Like if I think about like Awakened Gems and stuff will now drop from Maven, as well as the invitations and those new endgame bosses, as far as I know. So I don't really see big points of like farming those old Conquerors and Cyrus rather than just the orbs itself, right? But we're gonna see how it inflates the PoE trade, so how expensive those gonna be. That could be like an interesting farming series, more or less, where we're just gonna kill like certain amount of like boss and see is it still valuable of killing those old bosses, right? This large endgame expansion contains new Atlas systems, pinnacle bosses, one gigantic Atlas passive skill tree, Eldritch implicit endgame crafting, new unique items, the Archnemesis Challenge League, and much more. New era begins. Having assumed responsibility for the defense of the Atlas, Commander Kirak has established a base in the Karui Archipelago, whatever that is, with several map devices. I think it was the seller, right? He has heard rumors of your prowess and invites you to join his militia in order to scout the Atlas to learn about the threats to Rayclass. You encounter the Maven and discover that 2 new Eldritch horrors are there, the Searing Exarch and the Eater of Worlds. They must be stopped before they consume everything. These are going to be the new 2 endgame bosses, and both of them have like a smaller boss that all can like drop this new currency items. So let's take a look at the screenshots. I think like when I saw the screenshot, it looks like PoE 2, right? So maybe PoE 2 soon, right? That would be nice. Here's some other. Yeah, this is like this word that I cannot pronounce. What is it? Pelacho. I don't know. I think it's just a seller with like some map devices, right? So they're safe from virus and other sorts, right? So the Eldritch, 2 Eldritch horrors, the Searing Exarch and the Eater of Worlds are the most powerful beings that Rayclass has ever seen. The path of defeating them involves exploring many influenced maps and slaying their formidable subordinates, the Black Star and the Infinite Hunger, yielding valuable rewards. So these are like the small bosses, basically, right, that I was referring to a bit before. So here is basically just sorts of mapping, like proccing these kind of like influences, I guess, similar way as we had it in the Conqueror style. So you just run a map and randomly you have a chance of spawning those. Probably there's going to be some Atlas progression, so they're going to spawn a lot more often in the earlier stages, I would assume, similar with the Conquerors, for example. And once you have all the stuff defeated and you're actually in the end game, so once you've defeated everything and then you start actually grinding the end game, they're gonna be rarer, I would assume. So we have like another like pinnacle fight with the Maven, I think. No, wait, this is like, yeah, this is like Maven's sister, it looks like. So this is the what was it called? The Black Star, I think that's the one. Or this is the Black Star? Wait, this is one of these small bosses. I think it is. Not too sure. And probably this is gonna be a hideout. Like, literally when I saw that, I was like, yo, that's probably gonna take a month or two, and then we can buy this as a hideout form, because it looks actually pretty cool. And here is the weird dude with tentacles and stuff like that. So that's like one of the other smaller bosses, basically. Reworked Atlas mechanics. Most of the Atlas mechanics have been reworked with the goal of creating deeper systems that are easier to understand. Regions have been removed, so your Atlas specialization affects every map you run. Where you previously collect 60 Watchstones, you must now earn 4 Voidstones, which let you raise the tier of all maps on the Atlas, and they are uniformly tier 16. Sextants can apply to Voidstones and be itemized and traded. Commander Kirak offers a large variety of Atlas objectives that add valuable content to your maps. Wait a second. So, sorry. This is something I really like. Like, to be honest, like, I don't really care about the Archnemesis League. It's gonna be like a very minor part of this entire expansion. So either if you like the Archnemesis encounter or not, it's just gonna be a small side thing that we're gonna have just as so we can call it a league more or less, right? But this is the real deal here. So whatever you like the new Challenge League, you're gonna like this for sure, I would assume, because when I saw this, I was like, this is like amazing, right? So we are not bound on certain region-specific farming strategies, whatever. Now you really have the option to farm whatever map you enjoy with the strategy you enjoy, right? Whatever it's Legion, it's Blight, like whatever thing you want to farm, you have the possibility or the option to do so, as well as with the new favorite map system that we saw, where you can like favorite like 12 maps in total. We had this before with the region-based map favorites, but now you can basically do whatever map you want. So that gives me back like some nostalgia when we had like this Shaper Elder balance, where we all like tried to perma-sustain barrel chambers, for example, to farm then. And if you have like your favorite map, whatever, if you say like, yo, I want to grind out some tower maps, I want to farm up my Headhunter, for example, you just get like 12 times tower map and you're good to go. And it should be like what they said in the video is like half of your maps should be that map if you have all 12 socketed in. So let's say you find 10 maps randomly throughout your mapping experience, you should at least have like 5 times the map that you picked. So it definitely should be easy to permanently sustain any map that you want, which is great. We have like the Voidstones that are going to be socketed in the bottom side, and once you socket it in, it will basically turn all the white maps into yellow maps and so on. So as we kind of know it from the Watchstones from the certain region. But I really like this new system where you go like from the bottom, you have your white tier maps, and grinding up to the yellow tier maps, into the red tier maps, and the high red tier maps. And then basically after getting the Voidstones in, you just ramp up all the early maps to be higher than before, which is basically something we know already, but this kind of system makes it a lot cooler. And then we have the Charged Compass. The first 3 possessed monsters drop an additional Gilded Scarab. Oh yeah, this is something they refer to, where you can drop like scarabs and stuff. Yeah. And then we have Scouting Reports. This is something to reroll Kirak's missions. Yeah, this is the one. And then we have something with like collecting, or at least storing Sextant modifiers from your Voidstones or something like that. So this is a new currency item that they introduced. So basically it should be quite easy to buy whatever Sextant modifiers you want on PoE Trade, because these things are tradable. So I would assume that people are just going to throw one of these Sextants on every single Voidstone or whatever thing, right? And then just store it away and then sell it on PoE Trade, because as far as I know, these kind of like things are tradable. Then, the Atlas Passive Skill Tree. Say goodbye to regional Atlas passive trees and hello to one gigantic Atlas-wide passive tree with over 600 skills to specialize in. Every map, as well as various Atlas quests you can complete, will earn you these Atlas skill points. In addition to the best skills from the regional trees, we have created many completely new ones that let you choose your own level of risk and reward for the Atlas content. Like, this is exactly what I want in Path of Exile. Like, purely customizable ways of farming the stuff that you want to do. You know, as I said in many times before, when it comes to like generating currency or just enjoying the game, itself, right? There is always content that you like to do and some other content that you don't like to do. For me, for example, it's not directly based on this Atlas passive, but for example, I just don't like lab running, right? And there is other contents that I don't really enjoy. For example, Blight is something that I don't really like. But I know there's a lot of people that like Blight and do a lot of currency with Blight. But then there is me. I like farming legions and breaches and stuff like that. And with a system like that, I can be the guy that is like, you know what? I want to farm Legion and breaches and like rituals, whatever content I personally enjoy, because whatever you farm gonna bring you currency, but this is just the way that I would really like to see it, right? So we're just gonna transform your personal Atlas the way you enjoy the game the most and then farm it out and make a bunch of currency, right? So this is just great, you know. At some point we're probably gonna get all the results, or like an overall thing here with all the passive trees, or probably on PoEDB or something where you can see what are these. I'm not even sure if these are actually masteries like we have it in the last update on PoE, right? Where you have like these skill cluster masteries. It looks like there is. Would be great if so. But I'm really like a big fan of this like system where you really can just, yeah, transform your Atlas the way you enjoy Path of Exile the most. So then we have Eldritch implicit modifiers. The Searing Exarch and the Eater of Worlds have a powerful set of Eldritch implicit modifiers which can be imbued onto items using Eldritch Embers and Eldritch Ichors respectively. Although this process replaces existing implicit mods, it's possible to have both types of Eldritch implicits on an item at the same time. You can use an Orb of Conflict to manipulate the tiers of these modifiers on your item within the 6 tiers of modifiers available. When applied, the orb randomly increases the tier of one modifier and lowers the tier of the other. New Eldritch Chaos Orb, Eldritch Exalted Orb, and Eldritch Orb of Annulment can manipulate the prefix and suffixes of an item depending on whatever the Searing Exarch or the Eater of Worlds has higher Eldritch modifier on it. So that's gonna be a more in-depth crafting style, which basically lets you like kind of influence the items by either the Eater of Worlds or the Searing Exarch, basically. And it is based on what tier it is. So you have to think of, there is 6 different tiers that these modifiers can have. So the tier 1 would be like, as we see here, at 38 to 72 fire damage. So tier 1 is like, I don't know, 10 to 15 fire damage, whatever, right? And so it scales up, and the higher one will always be the more dominant, and this will basically decide what your Eldritch Exalted Orb, Chaos Orbs, whatever thing will do, because it says like, it does something specific on either it's dominated by this sort or the other. And as far as I know, the best way to do this is like having a tier 6 upgrade implicit modifier, while the other one is tier 4. And you're just gonna upgrade it, and it will be upgraded 1 tier higher, but it will also re-roll the modifier. So I think this is okay-ish, so you know you're gonna hit it at some point, right? It's just a matter of currency. It's not like a Val Orb where item gets corrupted. You can just permanently use this item until you get the stats that you're looking out for. I think PoEDB will data mine whatever implicits there can be. And one thing I was wondering instantly was like, what if you corrupt this item? Will you basically, for example, like the gilded fossil that I usually use on my crafting items, right? This can actually get replaced by a Val modifier, but Chris also stated in the Q&A with CGD that once you use a Val Orb, you're gonna lose both implicits, which is kind of weird for me, because if I have 2 implicits and I use 1 Val Orb and I get actually like Gloves 1 max Frenzy Charge, for example, implicit, it would be better since I have 2 implicits that only 1 get removed. But as far as Chris Wilson stated, both will get removed. And one other thing that I was wondering, what about chancing? So, you know, if when I do like trash or like chancing unique items, I usually always throw my gilded modifier on it, if you probably know from certain videos. And this will stay on the item. So you can transform the rare item, making it 30% quality, for example, get some implicits on it, and then chance the base with like influence modifiers, and we'll all keep that. But as far as I know, this works like a synthesized item or like a fractured item, these kind of bases that cannot be chanced. So as soon as you have like one of these implicits on it, you cannot chance it to a unique item anymore. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting what kind of like insane items people will craft with these kind of sources, with the new like modifiers and stuff like that. But I think some things are going to be insanely hard to craft, for example, because on amulets, for example, plus tiers, like +1 level of all gems and intelligence gems and whatever, they are now baseline. They used to be influenced modifiers. So some people may say like this is good, right? But I just see, you know, when you have a specific influence modifier, for example, I want to have like any chaos multiplier or int gems and chaos gems amulet. You know, I have like my hunter amulet and I have like my, I don't know what the other one is, redeemer or something, and then I have those two stats and awakener orbit together and hope that I can from then on finish the crafting process, because these two mods will be guaranteed. So if certain modifiers like +1 to all skill gems or something is a baseline, you cannot influence grant them. And as well as like once you use an awakener orb, these mods will be rerolled, you know, because they are not influence modifiers anymore. So I think like crafting some really good amulets and stuff is going to be very hard unless there is like a fossil combination that will grant us a better chance of doing so. Good, powerful unique items. The 4 new Pinnacle Atlas bosses have each have their own drop pools of the unique items to find. There are more than a dozen in total, and they represent some of the most powerful unique items we have introduced in Path of Exile yet, enabling exciting new character build opportunities. So here is like an amulet with like all level of all skill gems. Note here, skill gems, that's not like all gems, because that would include all the support gems. Then quality of all skill gems and experience gain and increased mana reservation efficiency. So there's definitely going to be a use for that. I think like there is certain skills, especially spells, usually they have like a lot higher base damage value. So attack-based skills usually don't scale that well with plus levels, but spells do a lot better. That's why I want to go like certain items. For example, we used to have like bows with like a tremendous amount of plus level of skills for our spells, for example, right? So just to get an essence drain to like level 34 or something like that. So that's gonna be some insane value, as well as with the quality of skill gems, which basically means once you have like alternate quality gems, that's gonna be very cool. Then we have like here life that would be lost by taking damage instead reserved until you take no damage for 2 seconds. I see that one as like more of a ranger kind of style, like high evasion builds that don't get hit often, but when they get hit, so you have like a better defense layer over here. Then here we have like cover enemies in frost, which works like the same way as ash, but now we have like the frost version. I'm wondering if there is going to be like cover enemies in lightning as well at some point. I don't know. This is just like a couple of unique items that they introduce, or at least show us now. I think they're gonna like reveal more and more towards the next days. And these ones are the ones that I was talking or referring in the start, the Forbidden Flash and the Forbidden Flame, which basically can unlock you Ascendancy points from other Ascendancy classes based on your spec or class itself. Okay, that sounds like kind of weird. Basically, what it means, if you are a ranger class, you know, let's say you're a pathfinder, you have here, for example, the required class ranger. So basically, when you're a pathfinder, for example, and you get like these Forbidden Flame as well as the Forbidden Flash, you need both of them with having the same Ascendancy points, then you can unlock, for example, Tailwind from Deadeye onto my pathfinder. So it will always be within the class, right? So drop-wise, everything can drop. So it's not like tailored loot where you say like, okay, my ranger class will only drop ranger Forbidden Flash, for example. So this is like a Hellfire Torch in Diablo 2, right? You're gonna find it and it can be everything. You're just gonna hope it's for your class, right? But it's not like that you can unlock Juggernaut Ascendancies on your Trickster, for example. It's not going to work. So you have to be within your starting class, basically. But it opens up so many build possibilities. And I was recently playing around with an accuracy stacker, if I can show you that here. It's like kind of a ridiculous gear here, right? But basically, this build had like roughly 20 million DPS, and what I did was just making my Juggernaut as used to accuracy stacker as undeniable, right, with a keystone, to make an accuracy stacking Berserk out of it, and then basically I just added here these undeniable keystone that I could technically get from the Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flash into the Berserk. So as accuracy stacker, this is the only thing you need, right? The other Juggernaut Ascendancies is like nice to have, but this is the reason why we actually go Juggernaut as accuracy stacker. And if I can get undeniable of any of like my Marauder classes, and I instead go for Berserk and get like Blitz charges, I have like freaking 26 attacks per second, and as I said, from the former 20 million DPS, I'm now on like 44 million, and this doesn't even include the new buffed bows, for example. So just this could like easily double, if not triple my damage if I would run my Berserk instead, right? So, and this will count for many other ascendancies as well. What for example, if I go as an assassin power charge stacking and I get the Swift Killer from Trickster, which gives me 1 additional max power charge, you know? And there's like Elementalist, you know, I could also play like some Chaos build and then just get Shaper of Flames and make like crazy Occultist Ignite builds out of it, because Shaper of Flames is like the go-to way of any form of Ignite build, just because all damage can Ignite, right? Or if I stay with Elementalist and I want to play like some Ignite builds, dude, if I get Profane Bloom for some big-ass explosions, well, all my Chaos damage can Ignite as well, thanks to Shaper of Flames, you know? It's just, this is actually, like, the coolest thing, like, next to the Atlas passive skill tree and all the Atlas rework, but this thing here, for me as a build creator, is, like, quite insane when it comes to, like, the opportunities that we have, and there is surely gonna be, like, options of creating a build that is, like, way too powerful with a certain combination of ascendancies, right? It's just great. So then we have the Archnemesis Challenge League. In the Archnemesis League, you'll build your own rare boss fights by applying new monster modifiers to petrified monsters found throughout every area. These modifiers add dangerous behaviors to their target, but also imbue them with valuable rewards. Each subsequent petrified monster you imbue within an area keeps all of the previous modifiers applied, allowing you to build some extremely difficult and rewarding encounters. There are over 60 new boss modifiers to discover, more than half of which can be created by combining other modifiers in specific recipes to unlock the most powerful and rewarding modifiers. So that's the thing that I said before, right? When they add like some complete endgame revamp with a new expansion, basically, the league is never going to be big, right? So, for example, Metamorph, right? And this is like the same thing. I think it's gonna be like there is no big boss encounters that you can find in there by combining certain things, right? It's just like some kind of altar, a little bit like ritual, like circle boss fights, you know? And you can upgrade these like reward types and then get like big loot explosions out of that by combining them, right? And as they just stated, the one you add first will be applied to all the remaining ones. So I think there's like 4 in every region. So if you get like the currency one on the first one, you're gonna have the currency one on all the things, right? And I think it's going to be fun to just run around and collect like these super sweet loot explosions. But I don't think that the league mechanic is going to be too in-depth at all, just because of the rework of all the Atlas, right? That's why I don't want to go into the Archnemesis Challenge League too in-depth. It's just about, you know, upgrading stuff, getting loot explosions, and that's what we like in a league, right? But it's not going to be too in-depth at all. Then game balance improvements. Aside from usual buffs and nerfs to every Path of Exile expansion, our balance focus in Siege of the Atlas has been on improving 2 build archetypes that were previously underperforming and bringing them up to the level of other popular archetypes. In particular, we're focusing on buffing handcast spells and hit-based bow builds. You can find more details about this in the Balance Manifesto or in the full patch notes. As I said, Balance Manifesto we already covered. The patch notes will be reviewed by me tomorrow, but I personally say underperforming when it comes to bow builds is something I don't understand. Like, I know the idea or where it comes from, because bow builds need a lot of investments to be good. But once you have that investments, they are crazy good, you know? And now with all these buffs, they're going to be insane. Like, most builds are going to be like having trillions of fucking damage when it comes to like high investment bow builds, right? Or we're just gonna make them more tanky, which is also something I really, really like. And this also plays in my cards with choosing my league starter in that case. Competitive boss kill events. Alongside the launch of Siege of the Atlas, we're hosting a competitive event where players will race into the Archnemesis Hardcore Solo Self-Found League to be the first to defeat a trio of bosses, the Maven, the Searing Exarch, and the Eater of Worlds. We will be providing more details on the events and its prizes in the coming weeks. So if you're a racer, then go for it. I'm not. So personally, you know, if you're not a hardcore solo self, like if you're like me playing a lot of like trade league and trying to have fun with builds, like to be fair, we're never gonna have any chances of winning anything like that, and that's why I'm not even wanna compete, just because I know the chances. And the problem is all these like events start exactly when Trade League starts, right? So it's a global release more or less from all these kind of things, and I don't want to fall behind just because I think I will try to get one of these prizes, right? I'm just gonna grind it out the good old-fashioned way, the way I enjoy the leagues. I'm just gonna work on my Atlas and just ignore this boss kill event exists. I mean, I'm going to follow it as long as I'm not streaming myself, just to see who is going to win it, but I kind of already know who. Like many people who that follow the scene. Good. New stash tabs. We're introducing 2 new specialized stash tabs, which allow you to store up to 500 gems or flasks respectively. The introduction of these stash tabs also allows players to set affinities for these items on any other stash tab that will hold them. The gem tab lets you filter between red, green, blue, and white gems. You can also select whether these are sorted by criteria such as current gem level, recard level, or quality. The flask tab lets you filter between life, mana, hybrid, utility, and unique flask. You can also select whether these are sorted by item level, base types, or quality. Personally, I think I mean, it's nice to have, don't get me wrong, especially when it comes to like affinities and stuff. But to be honest, as a Trade League player, I don't see myself holding like, I don't know how many gems around, right? There's maybe a few that I want to keep, maybe in power level 4 that I want to use on under builds, for example, right? But this is all currency, you know? When I'm done with the build, I'm usually selling everything from gearing, like equipment-wise, gems, and so on, flask as well. I think this is like going to be very nice when it comes to like solo self-found. Definitely, I would surely use that. But in a Trade League perspective, I don't know why I should ever hoard a lot of gems, because this is all currency that I would potentially use on my next build, right? Then we have the Archnemesis supporter packs. We're launching 2 new sets of supporter packs to celebrate the release of Siege of the Atlas and the Archnemesis League. These are the Worm and the Ember Keep series. There are 3 prize points available for each, and they feature masses of points and several exclusive microtransactions like apparition effects, armor sets, weapons, skins, and more. Path of Exile Siege of the Atlas will launch on February 4th for PC and Mac, and on February 9th for Xbox and Stayplation. Bro, what the fuck? So let me see here on the supporter packs how they look like. It's probably going to be a 30, a 60, and a 90 supporter pack. That's like something they follow along since a couple of leaks, I guess. So usually there's like the 30 and the $60. Now they upped it to the 90. That weapon looks actually pretty cool. I'm not a fan of like these apparitions or whatever they are called, right? I have like countless of those. Trust me on that, but you know I'm not a fan of that. Here we have the Wormlord supporter here. The wings are actually looking quite fancy. The other things here can barely see, but hey, you know, I already know myself, you know, I have to buy the entire big supporter Atlas of Worlds thing, and then I have to buy those as well, so that's going to be an expensive league as well. God damn it. And then mystery boxes, please. And then we have the Amber Keep supporter with the Elite Amber Keep and the Supreme Amber Keep. I really like the wings and the bow. I seen that in the video. Like, that looks insane. The armor itself looks like it's completely rusted instead of like being like bloody or something. Probably the way it is, right? I think that looks actually really, really good. The Supreme Ember Keep definitely looks better for me than the Worm Collar here. It's just like the metal armor. I mean, we have like dozens of those, right? But I'm really interested in the wings and the bows. They look like really, really good. All right, boys and girls, that's pretty much it for today's video. Now I'm going to check out the patch notes and like write down what I think is important to know, and then probably share the video then tomorrow. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all these changes. And yeah, see you in the next video.